Yo, what's going on, guys? Crispy Flakes here. So one NBA team we need to be talking about right now, we cannot sweep them under the rug, is the Cleveland Cavaliers. Yes, guys, the Cleveland Cavaliers, who I have watched a ton of this NBA season, really going back in the preseason up until now. Like, I've watched probably like 4 games of theirs. They have been extremely, extremely impressive. They are now 3-0 on the season. And I don't know about you guys, but I know when I was doing my NBA predictions, I did not have the Cleveland Cavaliers as a 3-0 team. I'm just going to say that real quick here, man. But damn, I know they are a small market team. I know they no longer have LeBron James. But this is something that's got to be on everybody's radar, just how great this team has been this early on, man. So before we get going on this video, if you guys don't mind dropping that like, 1,000 likes is always the goal. And if you don't mind taking a quick moment to hit that subscribe button if you are new to the channel, guys. I do cover NBA content every single day here on the channel. But yeah, Cleveland Cavaliers just beat the Philadelphia 76ers 118-94. Now, I will say Joel Embiid did not play in the game, but they still have Dwight Howard, who was a champion last season. And I mean, the Philadelphia 76ers are always sought out as a team that can contend in the Eastern Conference. So, despite not having Joel Embiid, who is extremely important, like we can't just write that off completely. The fact of the matter, 118-94, it's either the Cleveland Cavaliers are that good or the 76ers are that reliant on Joel Embiid. So I think you kind of have to think about that going into it, right, man? But yes, so the 3 games the Cavs have won this season. The opening game was against the Charlotte Hornets. They won 121-114, which going to that game, you could probably say, okay, I mean, it's Charlotte, like they're not going to be that good. But the Hornets did just beat the Brooklyn Nets 106-104. I mean, Terry Rozier, Devontae Graham, guys like that, man, have been looking absolutely fantastic. So in hindsight, that was actually a pretty good victory. The next game was against my Detroit Pistons, in which they won 128-119 in a double overtime game. Now, I will say, watching that game, I mean, I was mad because the Pistons made a lot of stupid mistakes, but regardless, like the Cleveland Cavaliers, they were able to close it out, make the big plays, especially in that second overtime, and win the game. So that was a very impressive game, just as far as, winning and closing it out, right? So you then move on to the Philadelphia 76ers, like we just kind of said, and like despite not having Joel Embiid, they still just beat down on a team that people are like, hey, could go to the Eastern Conference Finals, right? So where does that leave us exactly? What's exactly been leading to this success? Well, definitely the number one guy we need to talk about is Collin Sexton. Really, you can just say like Sex-Land, guys. Not Sexton, Sex-Land. That's Collin Sexton and Darius Garland, right? So Collin Sexton on this season, I don't know if my stats are going to be 100% updated because he just ended up balling out again, and I know basketball references to update that quickly, but in the first 2 games, he was averaging about 30 points per game. Tonight, he did have 22 points, 3 rebounds, and 3 assists. So, obviously not as good as his first 2 games, but still really efficient and everything, right? Like, it was still a really good effort out of Sexton. But no, man, as far as just like his shot creating ability, his ability to get to the basket and make plays for others, I mean, but really just make plays for himself, has been so respected. Because I know for a while there, especially when this team initially drafted Darius Garland, people were saying like, yo, Sexton as shooting guard. I thought he was a point guard. He's a little undersized for that spot. No, this man has been an absolute bulldog at that 2 spot. He's playing like a damn all-star, guys. He's literally playing like an all-star, which is just so much fun to see and everything like that. I will say in the past, was a little, well, I don't want to say a little, I was mean when it came to Collin Sexton. I know Cavalier fans will be all over it saying that, I didn't want to trade Drummond for Collin Sexton. Obviously, that was a stupid bad take. And, yeah, man, I changed my mind. Like, Sexton, I've been giving him respect all season, what he's been doing. So, yeah, here's me giving him even more respect, right? And then you got Darius Garland. So, I believe Darius Garland a few years ago was I believe he was the 4th overall pick in the 2018 draft, something like that. And once again, at that time, people were saying, Garland, like, they don't really need another guard on the Cleveland Cavaliers. Like, these guys are never going to work together. Garland was, like, before he had, I believe it was in college, he had, like, an ACL injury or something like that. This guy was an absolute stud. Like, people were talking about, like, number 1 pick in the draft. So, last year, after essentially missing his entire NBA, or his entire college career with injury, it makes sense that going into his first season that he was going to have, like, efficiency issues and maybe some tempo issues, and that's all gone now, man. Like, Darius Garland is looking like a future all-star point guard. I'm talking, like, a future 20-point, 8-assist type of guy. I mean, he's got that to his game. Tonight, he wasn't really knocking down his 3-point shot. He was 0 for 3 on that. But, I know against my Pistons, he was knocking it down. And he can still create shots for others. And really, in other ways, he's just more than a 3-point shooter, right, man? Like, this guy can get to the lane. He has a nice little floater on him. But, yeah, he had 14 points, 7 assists. against the Cleveland Cavaliers. And on the season, like I said, man, roughly averaging about 22 points, 9 assists, and 6 rebounds per game. Looking like the full package out there. Kind of like what I think Markelle Fultz can do over on the Magic. Just like one of those guys that was picked really high. I mean, Markelle Fultz was number 1 in the draft. And but it's like, okay, he's out a little bit for injuries, and then a few seasons later, he's like, gotcha, man. Like, I know what I'm doing out here. Like, I was not like a top pick for no reason, right? And that's exactly what Darius Garland is looking like. Beyond that, obviously, you have Andre Drummond, who played a few games with the Cavaliers last season before the shutdown happened, and obviously the Cleveland Cavaliers were not invited back to the bubble. But, in the limited games that I've watched Drummond play on the Cleveland Cavaliers, the thing about Drummond is that you don't want him to be the best player on your team. Because he's really not. He's not like the go-to guy on a winning team. But when you have two guards like Sexton and Garland that are balling out, then or even Kevin Love has been he's had some okay games. I think he had 15 against the Pistons, tonight against the 76ers, 2 for 6 in 9 minutes. Didn't really play all that much. But, Drummond is that third scoring option, which essentially what he was tonight. Or not, I guess not tonight, but just in general, he's kind of been that third guy behind Sexton and Garland. That's where he gets really impressive because, you can kind of afford to dump the ball on the inside because efficiency-wise, he might get frustrated, but for the most part, you're not really relying on that the entire time, right, man? So he had 24 points, 14 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, and 2 blocks. Defense looking great. We all know Drummond going into the season said that he wanted to go for Defense Player of the Year. I don't know if he'll quite get that, but, he'll be a nice piece, assuming that the Cleveland Cavaliers decide to keep him around, which being 3-0, hey, why wouldn't you, right, man? And then Kevin Love, he's kind of old. I mean, I'm not really so much old, just injury prone. Kevin Love is fine, but he's not going to be the guy that he was back in the day with LeBron and Kyrie Irving. But with that being said, he's still Kevin Love. He's still a veteran player that can stretch the floor, grab some rebounds, and be nice, just a nice locker room guy for a very young Cleveland Cavaliers team. But another player I've been extremely, extremely impressed with has actually been Larry Nance. Larry Nance has been able to evolve to this kind of Draymond Green, jack of all trades type of player where, he's not going to go out there and get 30 points and 20 rebounds or anything like that, but he's going to get you double-digit points. He's going to get a few steals, few blocks out there, man. Make some plays for others, grab some rebounds, stretch the floor a little bit. Better than Draymond Green, actually. Probably the defense not as good, though. But no, man, Larry Nance has just been a glue guy. That's exactly what he's been for this Cleveland Cavaliers team. To me, what makes a great basketball team are glue guys. I mean, you got to have the all-stars, you got to have the superstars, you got to have the go-to players, but it's always about the glue that holds everything together, and that's kind of what Larry Nance has been for this squad, man, right? As far as the bench unit goes, I mean, you got to look at JaVale McGee, who has all of a sudden become a 3-point sniper for this Cleveland Cavaliers team. Shout out to the Cavaliers for, letting some of these guys have that green light out there. I know Drummond shot a few threes, which you probably still don't want that, but he's trying to stay relevant and everything, so he does that. But JaVale McGee, in the past 2 games, have made a 3-pointer in both. He's had 5 career 3-pointers up until that point. He's now at 7, so he's been fantastic. Obviously, you look as far as the rest of the bench goes. I mean, Dante Exum's he's a backup point guard. He knows what to do there. He had 6 points, 6 assists tonight, so good backup point guard numbers. Cedi Osman. Oh, yeah, we have not talked about Cedi Osman yet, man. I feel like this guy's legit going for 6th man of the year reward or something. I mean, he's been an absolute scoring beast. For a while, Cedi Osman was one of those, meme players. But no, he's literally just looking like he's found his role. Because for a long time, or not really a long time, but mainly we know him as, the starting small forward for the Cavaliers. But I love him in the 6-man role just because I feel like he's a lot more than just, a jump shooter. He can score in a lot of different ways, make plays for others and stuff. So by putting him in the starting lineup, you're kind of using him as that set shot shooter. But off the bench, things kind of open up for him a little bit more. Kind of like Caris LeVert on the Brooklyn Nets, right? I mean, Caris LeVert could be the shooting guard for the Brooklyn Nets, playing off Kyrie and Kevin Durant, but then a lot of other things he does out there just kind of gets overshadowed. So it's nice seeing Cedi kind of freed up a little bit more and really just embracing the role, which once again is what makes teams win, is when you have those guys that get out of their ego being like, yo, I want to be the starter, man. No, be the 6th man and kick some ass out there. That's exactly what the Cavaliers and Cedi Osman are doing. Okoro was really nice going into the NBA season. He obviously hit that game winner in preseason or whatever. And so far, I mean, it's not been that type of noise. At the making of this, he's averaging 6 points, 3 rebounds, and 3 assists, about half a steal per game. So not exactly rookie of the year numbers. He's been playing a lot of minutes. Played up at about 38 minutes per game, but not really shooting the 3 all that well. And that's all going to come in time. Obviously, the preseason versus the regular season is completely different. But we do know Okoro at least has that potential, right? And that's really what you want to see in that guy like that, is that potential. Because if these guys are already clicking in Okoro, who we thought could have won Rookie of the Year, if he's still not playing up to we know he can play, then when he starts playing like that, this team goes up a whole another tier as a franchise, right, man? So I don't know. I just wanted to pay some respect to the Cavaliers. I wanted to pay some respect to your guys' franchise. You guys are looking really good. It's early on in the season. I think everybody kind of understands that at this point. So it's almost like a meme to say, well, this is an overreaction. You're 3-0. Have fun with it. I mean, when you're a team that was one of the worst teams last season, hey, have fun with it. And the fact that your team is 3-0, even if you guys lose like the next 30 games, then all of a sudden, though, you can still look back and be like, well, hey, we have that potential. Like, we did it to start the season. What's keeping us from doing it before? Or doing it again, or doing it for longer? And that's what I'm seeing with this Cavaliers franchise. Do I expect them to make the playoffs? I mean, let me pull up the standings real quick here on my end, man. Right now they are number 1 in the conference, right by the Orlando. But man, damn, Magic are 3-0 also. Hawks are 2-0. This is definitely not the playoff picture I was imagining. But I think when it comes to the Eastern Conference, you would expect a lot of like the big name teams like the Bucks, the Raptors who are 0-2, Celtics are 1-1. Teams like that have been off to a little bit of a slow start. You think over time that probably corrects itself? You would assume so. But when you have a young, hungry team, who knows, man? They might sneak into that 7th or 8th seed. And that's not a team I want to play in the first round. So that's all we got for today's video, man. Shout out to Cleveland Cavaliers. Shout out to your guys' franchise. You guys have been very impressive. That's all I got, man. Peace out.